You're still searching for that breakthrough that always feels just out of reach. What is your true life path, and how do you finally find it? Welcome to Say It Anyway, the podcast where we help you unlock the breakthrough you've been waiting for so your true life path can finally come to life. Each week, we share powerful practical tools you can use right now to start transforming your life. You'll hear raw, honest conversations with people from all walks of life, people who found their way forward and are here to share mindsets, strategies, and wisdom that help them get there. I'm James Ferrigno. I've helped people reconnect with their power for years. I'll guide you beyond surface level solutions into a deeper way of seeing the world, one rooted in connection, courage, and open hearted dedication. This is your space to think differently, live boldly, and finally do the thing you were meant to do. Let's get started. Hello, I'm James Ferrigno, and welcome to Say It Anyway. Our guest today is Elizabeth Cruz, and welcome, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate being here. Yep.
Mm, glad to have you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to dive into it. I think you sent this to me in a message. What happens when the path you thought you were on suddenly disappears? And that was intriguing to me.
hmm
Uh, when you look back, what was that moment of disappearance for you?
That's a really, really deep question.
Hmm.
Really deep. So, what was the moment that the path disappeared?
Hmm. Yeah, what happened
Mm.
there? How was
Mhm.
it for you? What was your experience?
Yeah, I think that it's a really, like I said, it's a really challenging question because it's sort of like, did it disappear all of a sudden or did it not? Was it gradual? Right. So I had to sit and think about that particular question for myself. And I feel like the path can change for different reasons for different people, right? That's kind of what I in the years, my wisdom, my experience now looking back is that for a person it could be an accident, right? Or it could be someone dying in their family or something kind of tragic happening, losing a job, losing their wealth, right? It could even be something as simple what happened to me, which was the beginning, didn't mean it wasn't the end, but as the beginning was the spark of a different thought. And so when one begins for one meeting myself, when I had a different thought around what I wanted to experience in life, that sent me on a different trajectory in my life. So a little background. I'll try to keep this brief and somewhat interesting. But I grew up
Hmm.
in a very small Latino family. I'm Puerto Rican-American, and I was the all good child. Right? The all good child. You're going to go to school. You're going to get good grades. You're going to be a doctor, a lawyer. You're going to do really well. And I was good at academia and I was groomed to go to college. So, right, the path before me was I'm going to do well. I'm good at academia. I'm a good student. I'm a good daughter. I'm the good kid, right? I do all the right things. Well, that was great
Hmm.
until I got to college. And then when I got to college, I was like, oh, whole new world for me, a whole new experience for me. So
Hmm.
I distinctly remember, and this is how the path disappeared, right? I'm weaving it so the path can, show what happens in one's path disappears. So, or changes, and they don't even know they're making the changes because it is that butterfly effect. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
So, long story short, is I distinctly remember one day coming home from college. I went to a small state school, a university in about 2 hours from Cleveland, Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio.
Hmm.
And I remember coming home. I remember having the thought because it starts with like that little. Again, different people have different experiences, but for me, it was like a little thought. Ding.
Hmm.
I was driving the car, I was getting onto the highway, getting onto the on-ramp, and I don't know if I think it was night, but I had this thought of like, boy, I would really like to know myself better. I'd really like to have different experiences. Boy, I'm tired of being the good girl. What's it like over there?
Hmm.
And that's kind of what sparked the difference, the change of my trajectory in my life. And not saying that it, and I can't say that it was good. I mean, I'm just not going to say there were good times, there were bad times, but really that desire to want to know myself sort of was the umbrella to make all my choices, whether they were conscious or unconscious. And, I, from that place, I went to college with that thought. And
Mm-hmm.
then I made choices based on that. I left my small school. I went to the largest school in Ohio called Ohio State University. I wanted to become a vet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to there to vet school and I discovered, you know, drugs, sex, rock and roll, bad people,
Yeah.
alternative people. I found all this whole other world that I could experience, but at a cost, right? Cost was,
Yeah.
you know, when one inserts drugs into life, that often comes with some characters are not so great. And there I went, right, into this experience where my boyfriend was abusive, he was a drug dealer, I got lost in drugs, I started to fail at school. I found graphic design slash art. I thought it would be really easy. It wasn't really easy. There was a whole thing around my identity being destroyed, right? So long story short, is that that path is really hard for me, and I got lost in the system. I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the resources to figure out how to get myself back on my feet. Now, I'm going to pause there because what happens, and
Mm-hmm.
the wisdom here for me, I could go on and on about this, but I'm not going to. But the wisdom here for me and the turning point, well, the wisdom is spiritual awakenings, everyone has their spiritual awakening sometime or another in my belief system, right? One will awaken in one way or another. And so it depends on what it is. Like I said, it could be an accident, could be a death, could be loss of finances, could be whatever it is for each person. So I was in the process of finding out who I was, but only through, and most people find out through adversity. So I was up
Yeah.
for a big game around spiritual growth. So I think for me, like, even though that was really hard, and it is still hard because it's like 30 years. It's been 30 years since I had those experiences. And now I was 27 when um,
Mm-hmm.
well, how do I say it? Um, I was 18, so it was really much 40 years. However, but there has been different incarnations of myself and the different paths I could have taken. But what I realized
Mm-hmm.
coming back home and being as old as I am, which is 57, and I'm on my second set and return, that I am um, looking back and saying, okay, it didn't turn out like I wanted it to. Okay, now what? Now where do I go from there? What did I learn? And that's kind of the space that the takeaway from here is even though I had all these experiences, what was my soul up to? What was my soul wanting to do? And how do I take what I experienced and how do I turn lemons into lemonade and move it forward
Mm-hmm.
from this place because I'm not dead yet, but I'm also in the place of
Mm-hmm.
recreating myself. So the path I thought I was going to be on was like, I'll get married, I'll have kids, I'll have the job, I'll have the house, I'll have the da 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 da. But instead, I went on the path of, oh, spiritual awakening. I have this adversity, that adversity. And now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, wow. It's still I'm still I I'm still in this process of cleaning up all the things that happened to me, right? Some
Mm-hmm.
PTSD, ADHD, disappointment and seeing like, wow, what happened? So it's not over, but it's like I can definitely see the wisdom because what I've gained in that as a person, right? My
Mm-hmm.
worth, my inherent worth as a person is compassion, kindness, patience, love. I understand myself well. That was my
Mm-hmm.
goal, right? From the very beginning to the very end, I know myself well
Mm-hmm.
now, right? And I know other people quite well too. So those are
Mm-hmm.
intrinsic gifts, but sometimes I have a hard time translating that into the value of our capitalist society. So I'm going to stop there because I could keep
Mm.
rambling, but I'm not
Okay.
going to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I'm very familiar with a lot of that is similar to my path
Yeah.
and other people I've seen. And I notice most people who are whatever you want to call them, spiritually focused light workers, have inherent skills of healing and helping others, and a lot of caretaking skills and insights and intelligence, but it doesn't always translate into something you can earn a living at,
No.
So, I mean, and there are therapists and things, but yeah, and yeah, so a lot of people become coaches, and then but now we know that's saturated. But
Yeah. Yes.
it can, but I think that's the big part, right? That's the hard part, is learning who you are. The other part is more finding something external, which but learning to know yourself, that's a lifelong thing. I mean, we never finish that journey, but uh, even starting on that is a huge, huge accomplishment. It was the accomplishment, really, of being on this earth, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
In my oh so humble opinion, yeah, I mean, that's why we're here, is to know ourselves first, love ourselves, then we can help others build things, do things. But that's a prerequisite to anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
So,
Knowing the self, loving the self. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and I know I'm still on that self-loving path myself. There's all these different parts, Ooh, I love myself. Wait, boy, but there's this little part and this part. So collecting all those different pieces and loving them all can be a journey. That's a
Yeah.
journey as well.
Totally.
So what about? Go ahead. I was just going to ask, just thinking about the different pieces, like, now that you've, I guess, fairly recently, last few years, had the understanding of ADHD, and I was wondering how is that part of your story, and how does naming it kind of change the way you look at yourself, and how has that helped you understand yourself?
Yeah, ADHD. Thank you for asking that question. That's a tough one because I've my I'm not 100% diagnosed as ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I have it. And I think it explains some of the behaviors that I had and some of the ways I was thinking because ADHD, particularly in women, is it goes undiagnosed sometimes for an entirety of a lifetime. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the research right now, at least the research for me, has been making its way to me, I guess, via the algorithm or however way it works its way to
Yeah.
me, but it's to me, and I now get to understand, like, oh wow, I wonder. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm not crazy. I'm not broken. So once you
Mm.
under I think that's the thing that I'm looking at, like, I think for a long time because of the choices I made as the story I painted a little earlier is like, I wanted drugs, sex, and rock and roll, and ended up getting
Yeah.
involved with a lot of people that weren't good for me, and it took send me down a trajectory which really did not serve me for a very long time, in the sense as
Yeah.
far as our society, right? And so the internal structure or my thought process was like, "What's wrong with me?" I could never put my finger on it. Like, why am I so broken? Why can't I figure out? Why can't I be like other people? Why am I so odd? What's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
So I think um I think that's kind of what led me to transformation work, is what we call this, right? This is transformation work, like coaching, workshops, and self-discovery, whatever the different things that I partake in over the years when I was in San Francisco. But I think finding out I had ADHD was one of the things that helped alleviate, like, what's wrong with me, right? Why do I behave
Mm-hmm.
the way I behave? And so, what it leads to for me, and there's another thing I want to talk about too, as well as in addition to ADHD, but it's like, oh, it's giving me the keys to the kingdom of who am I? And so, for me, it removed the shame, right? There's a shame and a like inferiority, like, oh my God. So it sort of begins to lift that aspect. And then what that allows is compassion. What allows is forgiveness, right? What allows is like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm just wired differently. Doesn't mean I'm bad or wrong. I'm just wired differently. Right. So there's that understanding, which is fabulous. My intention is this year to get my actually be diagnosed of like ADHD, but I'm pretty
Mhm.
damn sure I have it. And then the other thing I want to talk
Mhm.
about in this work of understanding the self is that I studied the Enneagram pretty deeply for a long time, and it's definitely a very it can go deep. So I've kind of scratched the surface, but enough
Yeah.
to know. And that's another thing I think for people in general, if you're on this journey of knowing the self, because that's kind of what we're up to, right? It's like, who am I? What do I want?
Mhm.
How do I make better decisions? One of the things that I was really into is Enneagram. Enneagram is such a great tool, was, as, still is, of understanding myself and understanding the other.
Mhm.
So I think when I understood that I was a four Enneagram, which is basically the romantic, uh, it has other names, but the romantic, sort of tragic romantic artist type person. This also gave me some
Mhm.
relief around understanding
Mhm.
myself. Like, oh, fours have a tendency for melancholy. Oh, fours have a tendency for deep feeling, deep emotion, and sort of living in reverie. Like, oh, I'm not
Mhm.
quite grounded. So it's like what's interesting about that and understanding I have ADHD is that it really gives this place for forgiveness, for compassion,
Mhm.
for like, I know that this is how I function. I'm not trapped in this forever. I don't have, there's no unconsciousness there. There's consciousness. And now I begin to like say, oh, there goes my thing again. There goes my thing again.
Mm.
Right. So,
Yeah.
and I think this piece for me leads into sort of this meditation place, right? Where I'm like, meditation is like, and mindfulness, there's two things, meditation and mindfulness, is what I've been working on practicing over the years, because again, it gives insight to myself, right? Of like, why do I do that thing? Okay, I don't know. I'll pause here. I'll
Okay, yeah,
pause here.
so many different ways to go from there.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
yeah, I'll just come out. The Enneagram can be I had my Enneagram years, and yeah, it can be really helpful. I think it's any form of, any form of divination that's been, refined can be really useful. I mean, different things work for different people. I found for me the Enneagram worked really well. Astrology, true astrology, not newspaper astrology, works
Right,
really
true
well.
astrology.
Uh, the I Ching, I really have the I Ching seems to be really a big thing for me, but tarot is amazing. So, like all these different things and all these tools, it's nice to kind of use, explore all of them and see, because it can really help us understand ourselves and where
Yeah.
we're going and what our choices are and realize
Yeah.
that we're choosing. And we're not just on some path that we're not choosing, And which actually reminds me of where you started with kind of on a path you didn't choose as a kid, right? So you were living up to others' expectations. And
Hmm.
and then you needed a lot of time to find your own path. Like
Yeah.
who am I without other people's expectations, and I can see that that's going to take some time, but everything you learn there is, useful. It's all had to be. What is must be.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah. And the meditation, yeah, of course, is so many different kinds of meditation, so many different types. So maybe we can talk about that. You had mentioned Rain Elizabeth Stickney, if I pronounced it
Stick
correctly.
Stickney, I
And
think.
I,
I say Stickney. If it's
I
something else,
I
she'll
won't make
let me
any
know.
jokes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, how has she helped you? Like, maybe explain, what type of meditation is she doing, and how has that really assisted you in your process of exploration of yourself? And
Yeah. Um, Rain. I just love Rain. Rain's like the best. It's so hard to encapsulate a person's like influence on you, and they're both your teacher and your friend and your colleague.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, she's
Trifecta.
amazing. Yeah, trifecta. She's and we're currently working together right now. Uh, Rain helps. Like, I think with Rain in general, like some people, when you get around them, they have a frequency, right? And they resonate at the certain
Mhm.
frequency. And I think that Rain has this particular frequency where it's just calm. Even when she gets angry, she's still calm. And she's been meditating for I
Mm.
don't even know how many years. And that's her main thing. And Rain will always be a meditator and
Mhm.
continue to give her gifts out there in the world. Mm. But the relationship with Rain and I, like I said, is a trifecta. She has always kind of been there when I'm in transition. And
Mm.
like when I need her the most, she's there. So way back when I was, how do I say this? Uh, I was in a community and then I left the community and I came home because I was doing sort of a sabbatical away with this community for about a year in San
Mhm.
Francisco. And I came out of the community and I came home and I was lost. Being lost is sort of a
Mhm.
theme for my life, which I don't necessarily
Yeah.
like, but being lost is sometimes just a way of it's what the universe has for you. Sometimes I have to accept that that which is, but sometimes what do they say? What's that saying? You're lost? Wait, not all people who wander are lost. Maybe it's that one, or maybe like I don't know if there's another one.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's different ones like sayings for being lost, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was lost. I came home. I didn't have my community anymore. I was just back to myself. I mean, literally going to the grocery store was kind of hard because I was like, oh, because my community, they cooked for me and they did everything for me, and all I had to do is participate in stuff in the community. Anyway, so just- Rain was there for me and holding a meditation class at a this meditation studio not too far from my house called the East Bay Healing Collective on Alcatraz and 45th in Berkeley. And
Mm.
I forget how I even got there. Maybe she sent an email out. I don't remember. But anyway, so I went and I would go. I would go on a regular basis. And so by going to these
Mhm.
meditation classes with Rain, I was able to sort of begin to regulate and become part of a community and begin to heal whatever was going on within me for that particular period of time. Like it was a home away
Mhm.
from home, sort of my cheers. And from there, like I started to coach, right? I built my coaching practice in that space. Like Rain sort of kicked me off to become a coach. It wasn't necessarily her,
Mhm.
because I had other coaches and coaches trainings and the such, but
Mm.
just because she brought me into the community, I met other people that were meditators, other facilitators in that space, and I began to
Mhm.
create my life. So for a good chunk of time, you know, even after Rain left the community, I was in that space teaching, coaching, working with people, helping them, not necessarily with meditation, but with relationships and the such. And then fast forward, now I'm in a big transition now, and Rain also has done the same thing. She's been there, she just popped up. This East Bay Healing Collective is closed.
Mhm.
Their in-person office, and now they have a online office, online presence. So,
Mm.
and one of the founders just passed away. So Rain came back into my world, made a notice and said, "Hey, we're going to be kicking off this meditation in lieu of our friend passing away and the
Mm.
potential of reviving the online community of this world, the East Bay Healing Collective." So I came back in, and that has been going on for the last 6 months, where she and I are working together, and she's helping me sort of in this next transition kick off the next thing, which I'm not quite sure what it looks like, but we are hosting monthly meditation events where people can come who have anxiety or who are feeling lost or need a place just to kind of rest themselves and have 1 hour where they don't have to worry about
Mhm.
anything, and like just be in the presence of this high frequency being who is just wanting the best for you. That was a long answer, but that's the answer. That's what rain does. That's what
Okay.
meditation does. Sort of soothes the soul and helps one to kind of become just really present. And that really is the access point of meditation, is really becoming
Yeah.
present in the moment. I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, presence, that's a big one. Yeah, I found that like being embodied, grounded, present, authentic, and there's more in the list, but they're all
Yeah,
just different aspects of the same thing. And
agreed.
it's really about showing up, coming to Earth, and actually being here. I think a lot of us we're barely here, we're kind of
Oh,
half here and like, oh God, this place is terrible. God, it's
I
so
know.
awful. It's
It's
painful.
so
I don't like
true.
to be here. So so we're kind of when can I leave? So yeah, but that's kind of what makes it painful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If
it's
you
true.
really commit and dive in and become present and connected, there's still some pain, but it's much easier. Becomes easy, much more easy.
Yeah,
So
I have to say, I mean, I'm going to cut you off. I get excited because I know
yeah.
these topics. I love this topic, right? Because it's like being, and I don't want to, I don't know if you had more to say on that. Did you have more to say on that before I butt
Yeah, go ahead.
myself in here? Yeah. So the thing is, yeah, being present, being in body. And I remember when I was, always when I come home to Ohio, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio now. That's kind of where I grew up.
Hmm.
And I remember specifically the day that I chose to come and be on Earth. And it was like I was 40
Hmm.
5 or 44 or something in the mid 40s, and I was
Hmm.
on my dad's treadmill in his basement, and things, things were challenging. They've always been challenging for me as an adult. Um, and I'm running on the treadmill. I'm like, "Grr, grr," I'm frustrated, angry, bear, bear, bear,"
Hmm.
and thinking to myself, "What did he? What? I don't get this human. This thing is. I don't get it. I don't want to be here. This is stupid. I hate being human. Why did I say yes? Why? Why? And as I took
Hmm.
that step and took that step and took that step, and then I was like, girlfriend, like, how sometimes spirit talks to you and it's like, you're like,
Yeah.
it has that. And it's not a concept, right? It goes into the body and you're like, I got it. So spirit said,
Hmm.
girl, choose to be here. You have been 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Choose. Would you like to
Hmm.
choose? And I was like, as I'm running, what? Yeah, you're not choosing to be here. You want to go. We understand why, is it sucks here. It's hard. This realm is not
Hmm.
easy. It's not for the faint of heart. But you chose this particular path for whatever reason you chose it, right?
Hmm.
So in that
Yeah.
moment, I got really present and I was like, and there was this I feel like I was a puffer fish, like puffing up to be protect
Mm.
myself around all the stuff that was happening. I didn't want to deal with this or deal with that or feel this or feel that and
Hmm.
be prideful. And in that moment, I was deflated. I was like, "Ugh."
Mm.
And then I was like,
Nice.
running and then walking and then just kind of I'm still doing the thing, but I wasn't at high speed. I was just kind of like, okay. And then and this is a very interesting experience. I don't know about for you, but thinking you are this, especially if you have you're intelligent enough, your mind works quickly and you're smart. You know how to work the system. There's a little arrogance that goes with that. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just how it goes
there
when
can
you
be for
think your
sure.
your mind is
Hmm.
smart. It's smart enough. I mean, I'm not.
Hmm.
I'm smart enough. I have to work hard for whatever I have. But when that gets deflated, that arrogance, boom, and then you're like, ah. Then I had to be like, what are? I said to myself, okay, God, okay, Spirit, what do these humans do on Earth? I kind of hate it. This is also four
Hmm.
Enneagram, which is like not wanting to be ordinary. So what do I have to be
Mm.
ordinary? What do I have to do to eat humble shit pie and be like, all right, what do we do? And literally,
Hmm.
the universe is very humorous. 1 foot in front of the other, sister, what you're doing right now, which is walking and running. I was like,
Hmm.
nah.
Nice.
So I think that was 2012. I think that's when that happened, 2012. So anyway, that's my story about being present and about, like really coming into like, I'm really here and choosing to be on Earth, choosing it.
Mm.
versus fighting it. Anyway, yes. I'm gonna hand it back over to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm done.
Yeah. Okay, that's what so yeah. I mean, I had that experience myself of choosing. I think I've had a couple of them where I chose it, but then, I had to re-choose it a couple of times. So, but the first one, I think I was 50. So hope to anybody else out there, if you're 50 and that hasn't happened to you yet, it still might. Probably will. Probably will.
If you're
So,
on the path.
yeah, yeah, if you're doing anything. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so there's a lot there. So, how does the anxiety factor into this? So, as far because you mentioned having this part of yourself that you puff up your intelligence because you have other areas in which that you don't perform as well. You might not have. There's other areas that you look at as weaknesses that you have. So I think anxiety can really be seen as a weakness, right? As something wrong.
Yeah.
And this also goes back to when you were talking about being broken. So what's happened as far as believing you're broken and then the process to maybe seeing that you're not broken, and now how does the anxiety function in your life? Maybe when you do something challenging.
Yeah. Oof. Oh, anxiety. Uh, Let me think here for a second about that.
Mm,
Anxiety is a interesting beast. Mm, I think I didn't understand that I've pretty much had anxiety my entire life. I still have it. I still struggle with it. I'm not medicated. There is conversations in for me to potentially get medicated, but I'm doing all kinds of things to potentially not be medicated. Not that I have anything wrong with being medicated around it. I'm not totally ready for that. And only because it's like I'm just realizing that I spent a good chunk of my time trying to navigate life on top of that. So it's a chunk of time that gets taken away from me that it's like I'm
mhm,
dealing with it no matter what I'm doing, right? And there is a correlation in my recent understanding between me having ADHD and anxiety and depression. So, right, these are, I think they're called
mhm,
comorbidities. So there's something to be said about that. So I'm in this inquiry around it and what it looks like for me to manage it. But
mhm,
again, I think that there's a naming of it and understanding what it is, and it's basically uh, chemistry in the brain and how it all works together. Uh, and not to simplify it in such a way that it's just brain chemistry, but it is experiences one has over a long period of time that will exacerbate
mhm,
that to which you have internally. So, oh gosh, but I think that for a long time I was just the conversation was I was broken. Like, why can't I control this part of myself? Why am I so nervous? Why do I why do I talk really fast, right? Why do I act out in certain ways? Why do I make these weird choices? Why, there's a litany of why, right? That I
mhm,
have and I have, and I imagine people with ADHD and or anxiety um maybe have these same conversations, right?
mhm,
I don't know, I can't speak for you all, but I can only speak for myself that, there is that. And so now, right, with having wisdom, there's compassion, more compassion, right, for the anxiety, the willingness to bring in different types of practices, mindfulness, breathing techniques, right? Um, somatic practices to help the body um, uh, deactivate the nervous system, and I forget what
Mm-hmm.
it's called. I want to say the parasympathetic nervous system. I think that's to activate that instead of the fight, flight, feign, those types of
Yes.
things in the body, right? Want to again? I'm in the process of learning about this stuff, so by any means, I am no expert, but
Mm-hmm.
the one thing I am quite good at is tracking the self internally to find out what the heck's going on. So
Mm-hmm.
broken. Am I broken? In a different I mean, the concept is still there, but what I can do now is, give myself more compassion, more
Mm-hmm.
kindness, more patience, and I think overall, I think a lot of this internal work that I've been doing is to, you know, be like, instead of the quick reaction about, "You're broken, that's shameful, what's wrong with you?" It's like,
Mm-hmm.
my brain and my chemistry just work kind of an odd way, and I have to be patient and compassionate with myself, which is interesting
Mm-hmm.
because that translates to the other, right? I mean, helps like if you have it, James, or if one of my friends have it, or whatever. I'm tracking for that, and I'm also being like, hey, it's okay, it's okay. And there's another thing too about some of the healing around anxiety and the removing of some of these ideas are right that something's wrong with you is a community, like community, being with other people who also have understanding, compassion,
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness, and love you just as is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
yeah, I just think that there's something these are practices, right? We all need these practices of how to navigate through our society and how to be like, I'm still worthy even if I have X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Maybe not to everybody,
Absolutely.
but to the people that matter, and also to myself,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yes.
you know?
The one that matters.
Anyway, right? The ones that matter. The one and the ones, right? But
Mm-hmm.
really, it's the self. Anyway, okay. I
Mm-hmm.
pause.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause.
Absolutely. Oh, you're pressing pause. Yeah, I struggled with anxiety, severe anxiety for a long time. A long
Really?
time.
I didn't know
And
that.
yeah, long time. And I now work with people and help them with anxiety.
Mm,
And I'll just throw this out there that you can tell me what you think of this. What I see is that there's three different stages that people can be in. And one is to suppress their fear.
uh,
The other is to have anxiety.
uh,
The third one is to accept their fear and experience it and process it in a natural manner, which usually is fairly quickly. And that the way I define anxiety is just fear that you're not familiar with and not comfortable with, so you fight having it.
uh,
And the fight, and since each emotion has a thought attached to it, the thoughts that are attaching to this fear are re-triggering it all the time. So you will have because emotions don't last that long. They last maybe a few minutes at the most. And then you'll experience this fear, but then you have these thoughts that will keep the thought connected to it is, I'm broken. Perfect thought, right? To re-trigger that fear. And that's what I see anxiety as, is simply fear that you're not comfortable with. Once you accept it and can walk into it, and I really learned this, the basis of this doing the dating and relationship work
uh,
was stepping into that fear and acting anyway. Just doing whatever you have to do and going, accepting it and just doing it. And then once you accept it, once time after time, once you do it a lot, you get comfortable with it and it's not so bad anymore. And then, people, normal, healthy people have fear. It's a normal human emotion. It comes up. It's just not accepting it. But that is a stage of development, though. The first stage you still have it. You're just completely unaware of it. You're burying it and it's coming out as anger or violence or whatever. And the second stage, when you're starting to awaken and develop, it comes out as anxiety. And then the next day, and this is everybody.
Yeah.
So either somebody, the very few people who've gone through it and kind of now can cope with their fear and their other emotions as well. Um, but other than that, you're either experiencing anxiety or you're suppressing your emotions. So it's not like it's a rare thing that just a few people have. And this is, I think, really not even just with anxiety, but with other things, with being broken. It's like most of the people I talk to and hear of, and just everybody think, oh, it's me. I'm the one who screwed up, you know? And most people think that. They think they're different from everyone
Yeah.
else because they are. Everyone's unique, right? And there's this, I think, what has not done the society globally any favors is the concept of normality and sameness, that there's this thing that we're all supposed to be and we're not because it's a construct
No.
created by somebody else. So we
Hmm.
believe we're broken because we don't fit the pattern. But the pattern isn't real. Nobody fits that pattern. So you know, we're
Yeah.
not broken. There is no
No.
broken. Nobody's
Yeah.
broken. We all
Yeah.
just are at whatever stage we're at, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
so yeah, those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Um,
Anxiety. Oof. It's a topic. I think
yeah.
a lot of people I think that was really why I like you breaking it down about not
Mhm,
wanting to feel it and then expressing it in different ways, anger, frustration, whatever it is that they're trying to deflect,
mhm,
right? And then
yeah.
being with the anxiety, which is like being with the fear, right? Whatever. Being, I mean, maybe
Mhm.
not accepting in between somewhere, right? And then really just being with it,
It
which
comes up, yeah.
I've it comes up and then it's like, what do you do with it when it comes up? And then that the presence comes in and it's like being with it is terrifying. I'm just gonna talk a little
Yeah.
bit that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, talk
I've
about that.
been I've been doing my best to be with it, and that and rain helps me be with it. Like just
Mhm,
being with her, I can feel it come up, but um, it allows me to like touch those places that are just so insanely fearful. Like I remember I
mhm,
was talking, and I have another friend who helps me too. He called me just recently. It was actually my birthday, but we were talking, and I was just in the middle of a panic attack, and I was like, and it gets so exhausting, as you know, if you have chronic anxiety, it is exhausting.
mhm,
But the thing
yeah.
is that in order, I mean, they always say you have to go through it in order to burn it off or whatever. You have to go through it, not over it or under it, whatever. You have to experience it to let it move.
Mhm.
But that fear of like really just being with it, it just feels like a mini death. Like I felt like I was dying
Oh yeah.
to touch
Oh yeah.
these levels of this fear, whether it's childhood trauma,
Mhm,
parental trauma, what do they call it? Family, what's it called when it's a family meme or the family, mm, you know what it's when the
bloodline.
family,
Yeah.
yeah, your bloodline sort of trauma, like you inherit that. So there's like
Yeah.
whatever it is, you're in the real time you're experiencing, and there's nothing around, but it's like okay, I'm being attacked by a tiger, and I feel like I'm dying. But the
Yes.
thing is that when I sit with it and the willingness to titrate in and out, touch it,
Mhm,
feel the hole in the system, feel like I'm dying, breathe, let someone else be with me, talk with me about the experience. And then it shifts. And then I'm in a new dimension.
mhm,
Not that's perfect, but I'm able to handle a little bit more of what's been going on.
mhm,
So it's just one of the strategies to which I'm working with is actually working with someone like yourself, right? Or anybody else, like, to like actually hold me through these places that I feel like I'm going to die. That's what it feels like. That's an ego death.
mhm,
But I'm finding it's one of the ways in which I'm able to sort of um, mitigate the intensity of that particular feeling, and then I can be more functional, right? And I also think that like
mhm,
getting massages are a really good thing. Doing somatic
mhm,
exercises are a really good thing. But also knowing that for me, that cognitively I understand that I'm not going to die. It's just I have to just be with this thing for a little while, like you said, like it's just going to last for maybe like 10 minutes and then it's gone. Hopefully.
mhm.
Hopefully. Maybe
Yeah.
it lasts the whole day, but that's because I've been fighting it all day. But
Yes.
That
Yes.
is the end of
That's
part one.
of our conversation with Elizabeth Cruz. Join us next time for part 2.
James Ferrigno here, and it would be great if you guys could subscribe, like, follow whatever platform you're seeing this on, because that really helps me be able to continue the podcast. And so if you can do that, that would really help us out. Thanks a lot.